Have you ever looked up at the sky and wondered about those white lines that planes leave behind? Are they just exhaust, or is there more to it? As we gaze at the vast blue expanse, these streaks of white often pique our curiosity. Many theories swirl around these so-called chemtrails. Some fear they're harmful, others dismiss them as mere contrails from aircraft. Misconceptions abound, and the mystery deepens. Today, we delve into the science behind these chemtrails. Contrary to popular belief, these trails aren't harmful chemicals being sprayed by the government. No, they are not some secret government experiment or a method of climate control. They are a completely natural phenomenon that occurs when hot jet exhaust cools down rapidly in the cold upper atmosphere, resulting in the formation of what we call contrails or chemtrails. Let's dive into the science behind these chemtrails. When a jet plane cuts through the sky, it leaves behind a trail of exhaust from its engines. This exhaust is hot and humid, and when it hits the colder air of the upper atmosphere, it cools down rapidly. This rapid cooling causes the water vapor in the exhaust to condense into tiny water droplets or freeze into ice crystals. Think of it as seeing your breath on a cold day. When you exhale, you're releasing warm, moist air. When this warm air hits the colder air, it cools down quickly, and the water vapor in your breath condenses into tiny droplets, creating a mini cloud of sorts. That's essentially the same process that's happening with jet exhaust at a much larger scale. Now, you might be wondering, what are these trails made up of? Well, the primary component of these chemtrails is water vapor. Yes, you heard it right. Water vapor, the same stuff that comes out of your kettle when you're boiling water for your morning cup of tea. There are also small amounts of other substances in the exhaust, such as soot and sulfur compounds, but these make up a very small proportion of the trail. So are these chemtrails harmful? The short answer is not really. While the soot and sulfur compounds can have some environmental impact, the majority of the trail is just harmless water vapor. In conclusion, these chemtrails or contrails are a fascinating scientific phenomenon. They are a testament to the laws of physics and chemistry at work, painting intricate patterns in our skies. So chemtrails are not as ominous as they seem. They are mainly just water vapor. While chemtrails are primarily water vapor, they do have some impact on our environment. Now let's dive into the specifics. Have you ever noticed how chemtrails, also known as contrails, can spread out and form thin, wispy clouds in the sky? It's not just a beautiful sight, it's also a scientific phenomenon. These clouds are formed when the water vapor in the chemtrails freezes into ice particles. As they spread out, they can cover a considerable area of the sky. Now, here's where it gets interesting. These thin clouds, they don't just hang around doing nothing. They play a part in our weather patterns. They act like a blanket, trapping some of the Earth's heat that would otherwise escape into space. On the flip side, these clouds can also block some sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. It's a bit like having a giant parasol in the sky. This leads to a slight cooling effect, which could, in theory, counteract some of the warming caused by greenhouse gases. But don't get too excited. The cooling effect is quite minor, and it can't reverse global warming. It's just a small piece of the complex climate puzzle. So, while chemtrails are not harmful chemicals, they do have a small effect on our climate. And it's always good to understand these small effects because, after all, every little bit counts when it comes to our planet. So, what have we learned today about those mysterious white lines in the sky? First off, we discovered that these so-called chemtrails are primarily water vapor, formed by the condensation of jet exhaust in the frigid upper atmosphere. Contrary to some conspiracy theories, they're not harmful chemicals being sprayed for nefarious purposes. They're simply the product of modern aviation. However, we also learned that these trails aren't entirely harmless. While they're not dumping chemicals on us, they can have a small impact on our climate. The water vapor they release into the atmosphere can contribute to the formation of high-altitude clouds. These clouds, in turn, can trap heat and contribute to global warming. So, while chemtrails might not be the secret government plot some people fear, they are a sign of our impact on the environment. So next time you look up at the sky, you'll know exactly what those white trails are and what they're doing.